relationship between mother and child. It's the lack of attention to the child's grades. We had the child complaining that he was not being fed in dad's house. There were so many bases for her original request for a change in custody that ultimately were never addressed. And then she's slammed with attorney fees, and she's sitting here in a position of not making any money.
I would like to have, I'll let you respond, Mr. Carmen. Are you done, Ms. Robinson?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carmen, I'll let you respond. Go ahead and turn on your mic. Thank you.
I need to speak to my client before I can respond to the litany of new allegations, but I can say this. There were findings. The findings were that there was no change in circumstances that was sufficient for an evidentiary hearing to proceed. There were no findings regarding custody because she didn't meet the change in circumstances prong of Rooney. And it was clear from the history of the case. The disparity in income argument, to make an income argument, you have to file an FDF. Mom has not complied with the rules. If the judge had considered the financial circumstances of Amber in the decision with her not having filed an FDF, it definitely would have been grounds to potentially set aside an attorney's fee award. But when a party decides not to file an FDF, that's the consequence. It's the consequence under the statute. To go through the allegations, though, just so you understand the history of the case, there were a lot of hearings in front of multiple judges in this case. Started in 2018 in front of Judge Steele. Judge Steele had serious concerns about Mom's motion, which was, again, it was based upon a lot of allegations that were easily disprovable based upon the documents that were submitted. But Judge Steele said, listen, I want to hear, we're going to get a guardian ad litem involved, and I want to make sure that before I deny it, we're going to hear what the child has to say and hear what's going on. So the guardian ad litem was appointed back in December of 2018. In March of 2019, it went back to Judge Steele. By that point, we had agreed upon Dr. Mullen doing the child interview with Hayden. And at that point, the judge said that Chris would advance the costs associated with the child interview subject to reallocation. And again, it was an agreement between Ms. Robinson and I. The idea that it was delayed, it took time for Ms. Robinson and I to coordinate and pick someone, and it took time to get someone on board to do the child interview. Dr. Mullen is not available in the blink of an eye. So in March, we agreed upon it. In June, we were back in court. By June, the guardian ad litem came into court and gave testimony and expressed serious concerns about Mom and the troubling alignment between Hayden and the mom. At that point, there was the big, this is when it was revealed that during a private interview between the guardian ad litem and the child, that Mom had slipped a cell phone into the guardian ad litem's purse to record the private communication between the guardian ad litem and Hayden. So there were a lot of issues that had popped up and a lot of concerns that arose during the course of this case. Dr. Mullen's report did finally come out after it took some time to get her on board. She interviewed, and the report absolutely debunked the allegations of Mom. Hayden is extremely polarized. The report shows that there's no alienation on Chris's part. In fact, it showed coaching by Amber during the guardian ad litem sessions, expressed concerns about Amber's relationship with the child, and like we said before, it addressed the telephone communication issue and the fact that the telephone communication was causing extreme anxiety for Hayden. And I think my impression of the report was that there was a lot of questions as to whether it was in Hayden's best interest to be having that communication because of the anxiety. So the report comes out completely, again, it showed, if anything, not if there was a change in circumstances, it would have been one that didn't benefit Mom. So after reading the report, after hearing the testimony of the guardian ad litem, after reviewing all the pleadings of the party, Judge Forsberg did say there's no change in circumstances and that Chris was obviously the prevailing party based upon her failure to meet the Rooney standard. So the question, I don't know what the court wants to do at this point. If you want me to address any of the specific allegations about the appointment of the guardian ad litem, about the scheduling of hearings, I'm happy to. I can just, the reality is Mom's motion didn't meet the Rooney standard. Mom was told that there'd be consequences and reallocations of fees depending on the outcome, and the outcome was not in her favor. After a lot of consideration by the court, which included, like I said, testimony from a guardian ad litem and the report from an expert. I don't know how you want to handle it, Your Honor, if it's something that should be remanded to Judge Forsberg, or if we'd like to review the history.
I think that would be the best thing, but they're not allowing that. You're stuck with me. So.
No, and it's I don't know how, other than going back and reviewing the hearings and seeing what happened, I honestly don't know how you're going to be able to make a decision, and that's a ridiculous amount of time, but that's what needs to be done.
Okay, thank you.
I don't envy you.
Thank you. I'm going to I'd like to hear from Hayden about what's going on today. I'm going to order that he be interviewed. I liked your suggestion earlier, Mr. Carmen. Let's hear what he has to say these days, and neither party will coach him. Okay? Both parties will not tell, neither party will tell him what to say, other than just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. That's all that we want him to talk about. And
can counsel submit a list of questions to whoever's going to interview?
I think that will be just fine. Why don't you send how many questions are you thinking about submitting?
20 questions per counsel?
20 per counsel? Oh, I guess.
Or less.
Okay, no more than 20 questions per counsel. And you can, why don't you file them under just, I don't know, child interview questions. You can just call it something like that. And we will make sure that FMC gets that. I've asked...
Your Honor, should we submit the questions? I'm concerned that if the questions are filed with the court and there's concerns about coaching, that could lead to a problem with the child being coached about what questions to expect. I'm wondering if it would be better to submit it directly to FMC.
I think that's a great idea, Mr. Carmen. I agree. So both counsel can submit those 20 questions directly to FMC. And,
Your Honor, what's the deadline on those questions?
yes, 1 week, the 21st. Please submit those no later than May 21st. And I've asked the clerk for a return date and July 12th, which sounds terribly far in the future, but it's actually not, believe it or not. Well, 2 months.
Your Honor, I'll be out of the country on July 12th.
Oh, well, I think we should either go with you. Okay, all right. So, how about a week?
The dusty Mexican borderlands, Your Honor.
A week before that? Let's see. And you know what? I should look at the calendar because...
Your Honor, you know what? I apologize. July 12th is fine. I was looking at June. My apologies. July 12th is absolutely okay.
Oh, okay.
It was me misreading your calendar.
But, I don't want you...
Your Honor...
I don't want you to be on the regular calendar because this case takes longer than the 15 minutes that is... go ahead, Ms. Robinson.
I was going to say I'm not looking open on July 12th. I'm in trial, and I can't tell if it's half day or full day.
Okay. How about, can y'all do another Friday so that we have more time, like 3 o'clock on a Friday? Like the 9th, July 9th?
Yes, I'm available that day, Your Honor.
That works for me.
Friday, July 9th. at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. So don't call FMC to arrange the child interview until, or you can call and arrange the child interview. That'd be fine. Just make sure that it is scheduled after May 21st, so that they'll have the questions that are going to be posed by counsel.
And just so we're clear, what is the scope of the interview in relation to the motion to set aside?
The motion to set aside. I want to hear about, because there's so much he said, she said, and I want to hear what's going on with him. I can make, it's my understanding I can make any orders in the best interest of the child, and he has not been heard from in a while, and I've got a lot of conflicting information about what's going on in the homes of both parties, so I want to hear what's going on with him. And I'd like, one of the questions I'd like for you to ask, or I can put it on the form is his grades. What are his grades like these days? What's going on? Are they still, is he still struggling with that, or, and Dad, did you make arrangements for him to get his driver's license without consulting Mom?
He took that upon himself. I didn't do anything. He went to the school and he told me about it after he had done it.
After you'd done what?
He went to the school. Apparently, wasn't aware that you have to get permission from the school now to get a driver's permit. When I went and got my driver's permit, you had a driver's ed class and you took a test, and I guess it's not the same now. But I told him he was more than welcome to go get the paperwork and show it to me, but we haven't made a decision on anything. So we have, I guess there's a misunderstanding. I'm not saying that I told him he could or couldn't. I told him he could go to the school and ask if those things were true, that he had to get permission from the principal or something. But it's really never been a serious topic. Like saying I want to go skydiving. Well, I've talked about it. Doesn't mean I've really looked into it.
I'm not sure that's accurate. I don't know what the rules are right now.
I'm not sure myself, so I have to look into it.
So he doesn't. He doesn't have his driver's license right now?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And I think what they're referring to is you have to get a certificate from the school that you're attending full time to get your permit.
Whoa, we got lots of people. Whoa, Mr. Carmen.
Well, I was just saying, I think there's a lot of confusion. One of the portions, if you're going to get a driver's permit, you have to get a certificate from the school that you're attending school full time. It sounds like that's what Hayden was asking about.
That's my understanding as well. But did he? Let me find out what it is I'm talking about here. Mr. Carmen and Mr. Horodesky, please turn off your mics. Ms. Johnson, what was the situation about the driver's license?
So my son informed me that he has a date to take his permit scheduled for July 27th or 28th. He has a time and everything. And he discussed that he has to receive something from the school about his absences or tardies. He has to have 10 or under, and he's really excited about it. So it was conveyed basically that he has a date scheduled to sit and take it, and that he has to get a note from the school that's for 60 days out. So he mentioned it to me and said, Mom, can you help me make sure I get this so I don't miss out? And then the school informed him they're open all summer. So there's no rush, no delay. He can come in at any point and get that letter or whatever it is that's needed for his permit that's scheduled for July 27th or July 28th.
Okay, and you didn't have any conversations with Dad about any of this?
No.
All right,
this is
after
strictly.
he said this to you, did you approach Dad about it?
I approached my counsel today because it just happened.
Okay. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Dad, did you arrange for Hayden to get an appointment with the DMV to get his driving permit?
No, I have not.
So, did you know that
anything that's happened, Hayden has done on his own.
Okay.
I'm unaware about this date. I will talk to him when I finish here and ask him about it.
Okay, thank you.
And I just got Hayden back today.
Okay.
I picked him up at 2:30.
Okay. Ms. Johnson, what was the things you told me? 2 things that had happened during that period of time that Dad was withholding the child. That Dad
Well,
had
he-
taken him for jujitsu classes and what?
Jujitsu classes, and that they did not wear a mask, and they were like, he actually was in positions doing class, and that he took him the week before Christmas and got a haircut at a hair facility. So if he had been quarantined, even with a negative test, I don't know, that's just what happened during that time.
Okay, thank you, Mom. Okay, so we will come back. I would like an order for today, Ms. Robinson.
And it was at Gracie
Yes, Your Honor.
Jiu-Jitsu.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Ms. Johnson?
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, I believe, is what my son said the name of the facility was.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Robinson, would you please prepare the order for today and pass it by Mr. Carmen for his review?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So I think we're done for today. Is there anything else before we adjourn?
I'm just clarifying for myself. So we're doing the child interview, and these pending requests are going to be, I guess, decided on at the July 12th hearing or the July 9th hearing.
Yes, I want to hear from Hayden.
And just so we're clear, is the court considering changes in custody, or is this just in relation to whether the attorney's fee award was valid?
I'm going to take another look at. You asked me to take a look at Dr. Mullen's report. I'm going to take a look at Dr. Mullen's report. I'm going to look at all of this again. See if there's a possibility I can look at the last hearing with Judge Forsberg. There's a lot I'm going to try and do, and not sure.
Well, and I'm just wondering, with the child interview, should we be prepared to make a custody argument at the next hearing?
I don't know. I don't know. I just need to hear from him about what's going on. I don't know. I want to hear from him.
Your Honor, I don't know if it helps, but there are transcripts from some of those hearings that were from all of those that might be helpful as well.
Yeah, I do have. Yes, I'm in the process of reading them to try and find out what happened before. I understand your confusion, Mr. Carmen, about whether or not we're at a procedural point of whether or not it would be appropriate to make custody changes based on what he says, but
I'm just worried. There's no motions pending. I just want to make sure that I'm prepared for whatever. I'm not sure what the court is expecting of that hearing, and if you could give me any guidance as to how we should prepare for it.
Well, counsel is asking for a motion for reconsideration of the July 16th, 2020 hearing.
But evidence that arose subsequent to that wouldn't be relevant to whether that decision was proper. Now, that's where I'm confused.
Yes, I understand your position, and you may be right, but
Okay.
that was a long time ago. That was almost a year ago. And I don't know, I want to know what's going on. That we have open pending litigation, and there's been allegations that child's afraid over at mom's house, and there's allegations that dad withholds the phone and doesn't allow him to communicate with mom, and and allegations of, both ways. I want to know what's going on with them, and he's 16, and I want to know what's going on with him. And I can make decisions in the best interest of the child, so I just want to hear we're all talking about him. I want to hear from him.
All right. It makes me nervous when there's no motion pending.
Well, we've got pending motions.
Not related to custody. There are 2 motions to set aside. They're procedural motions.
Yeah, to set aside a motion regarding custody.
It's an attorney's fee award that she's seeking to set aside.
That's the only aspect that she's asking to set aside. That's not my understanding. Ms. Robinson, is it inappropriate?
I have it in front of me. I'm going back through it. It was a request overall to reconsider and or set aside for all those reasons.
I'd have to review it again. I didn't think that it was just to set aside the award of attorney's fees.
Correct, because like if we look at Roman numeral 3 on page, these page numbers look off. If we look at Roman numeral 3 on page 5 of Amber's motion, we have plaintiff's award of attorney's fees as unwarranted and unjust. And then we move on over to Roman numeral 4. The order failed to support its orders with specific findings, and
the specific...
we go over 5 joint legal custody violations.
The specific findings being whether or not there was a change in circumstances, as you stated, Mr. Carmen.
But it was filed, and the order she's seeking to set aside was the attorney's fee order, not the prior order.
It's the July 16th, 2020 order. She's saying that it didn't address the best interest factors. So doesn't that mean that they're still up for discussion?
I think so. But I'm looking at the front of her motion because there was a separate order on attorney's fees that she wanted set aside, but it's also the July 16th, 2020 order filed on February 22, 2021.
It's all in the same order.
And the
attorney's fees are in the same order?
Yeah, they're in the same order.
Oh, then it must have been one where Mike was told to leave a blank.
And
Yes.
one of the issues, it says court prematurely closed without addressing joint legal violations. I mean, I just don't see it as if like the case is closed and I have no authority to entertain a child interview.
I'm not saying you can't order a child interview. I'm just trying to make sure that I understand what's going to happen at the next hearing, so I'm prepared for whatever you're intending.
Yeah, and I don't know until I hear from him.
Okay.
I don't have my mind set in a certain way. I'm open right now. I'm still a blank canvas, Mr. Carmen.
And the way I see it, at the July hearing, the court could potentially order a temporary change in physical custody, but what Amber overall is seeking here is that we get an evidentiary hearing on her overall request from 2018 for a physical change of custody.
Well, all right. I will see y'all back here on July 9th at 3 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. Happy birthday. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
You too.